stages of new product development, we're going to look at an engineering perspective of how a new product gets developed. So let's start with an understanding of how difficult it is for a new product actually to get developed. As we can see in this diagram, you start with a lot of basic ideas, in this case 3,000 ideas, and you go from 3,000 ideas to a fraction of them actually being submitted for consideration and a fraction of them actually being developed into small projects, developmental projects, ultimately down to major projects, ultimately down to launches, and ultimately down to one successful new product development. And so this is something to consider in the new product development process. Not every idea finds its way into reality in a new innovation, but a lot of ideas get considered. And there's a reason why there's this filtering down from a lot of ideas to just a few that ultimately get carried out. Let's look at this chart here that is a breakout of the cost elements of a new product. Well, this is a somewhat dated series of information, but really what you can see in the various stages of development, it's relatively inexpensive to start and look at conception, $5,000 cost. Then you go to feasibility, a lot more, $50,000. Then you go to product and process development, and then you have a major leap in cost, 20 times the cost of feasibility. Then you go to pilot production, which is really still not full production, and it's 20 times the cost of development. And then you go to full commercialization, which is a very, very big investment. And so the costs are much, much greater. And so you can see in this progression of costs, it's relatively inexpensive to consider an idea, but very, very expensive to actually carry that idea forward to full production. And so this is a factor to consider in the new product development process. So here's a traditional commercialization model. It's fairly straightforward, fairly linear, and it is a way of where most people consider how a product gets commercialized. You start with a customer, you identify a need, and then there is some communication with the marketing department, and that communication then gets translated into some design idea where engineers and marketers work together to design the new product. And from that point, it goes to manufacturing. And then the manufacturing, of course, draws upon materials suppliers for the materials for the new product, and machinery. If they don't have it, then they have to design new tools and new machines to actually produce that new product. Then once it's produced, it is sent to the sales department. The sales department sends it back to the customer. And then also the field service and support for that new product comes into play and works with the customer. And this pretty much is, you could follow this pattern with most automobile manufacturers, sometimes product manufacturers like household products. They follow this pattern generally. And, but it doesn't reveal what really happens in this innovation process step. And so we're going to take a look at that. So the view that we have here is a 6-stage new product development process. And it is a level of detail that is similar to what we looked at before in the generic steps of the innovation process. And here you can see in stage 1, there's a conceptual stage, there's a project team that is mostly inventors and research engineers. The second stage is a technical feasibility stage where you test the idea. A third stage, again, a different group of people. A third stage is where you develop the product. Again, a different mix of people. Stage 4 is the validation and production preparation, where you have another team, sometimes engineers, sometimes marketers. The fifth stage is where you go into full-scale production, which is primarily the physical production of the product. And then stage 6 is where it's out in the marketplace, and then you're servicing and selling the idea and the innovation. So what we're going to do is take a look at each one of these stages individually and look inside of it and see how it works. So let's start with the first stage, which we could call conceptual proofing. So this is taking the idea that is an idea that somebody sees, the marketing department sees, or it comes out of an engineering lab, research and development lab, and so the idea is to prove the concept to be scientifically valid using what they call a test of principle model. And you confirm that performance assumptions are reasonable, and you identify critical manufacturing and marketing barriers. And so you conduct also a state-of-the-art survey to identify potential product gaps that are out in the marketplace. So this is a view, this stage is a view of whether or not this thing has viability and has legs and has interest in the marketplace. The second stage is what we call technical feasibility. So you've got the idea, and now you're going to test to see whether or not it's really feasible. And how do you test whether it's feasible? You confirm that the product can actually perform in the way you expect it to perform. You develop some operational requirements, and you identify potential, in this case, safety hazards or environmental impacts. You know, does this product have some unintended effects that you don't know about? So you want to test for that. And you make some preliminary production feasibility assessment. Can this product actually be produced with the resources and the machinery and the production skills that you've got? And so you make a preliminary manufacturing assessment of that. So this is all technical feasibility. This is to determine whether or not the product idea that you've got can actually be produced. So we move from there to development. And development, in this step, we're looking at ways that you can improve the design, the operational process, the materials of the product. You fabricate an engineering prototype so that you can scale that up at a later stage and you can actually see how it looks physically. And you optimize the product through a series of design iterations. And this is sometimes a lengthy process that happens where designs are tried and then revised and tried and revised again. And finally, you conduct some final tests of how the product actually looks once it's been designed and redesigned and whatever design improvements have been incorporated. So the next step is you're ready for pre-production. And so you, in anticipation of production, you want to develop some things that will make that manufacturing process really function well. And so you develop manufacturing techniques. How are you going to manufacture this? What kind of tools are you going to use? What kind of materials are you going to use? So you want to also establish some test market validity of the new product. You want to, at that stage, begin to see how well will it be accepted in the marketplace? Who are the people that would be most likely to use it initially? And you want to complete some kind of a pre-production prototype and to specify a pre-production process that you can actually test. So, and finally, you want to design some kind of a field support system that will look ahead to when this product is put into the marketplace, how it is going to be supported. So in the fifth stage, this is where the actual full-scale production happens. It's not exclusively production. As you can see, there is a commercial level design feature that ultimately gets established and fixed in the production stage. You specify a detailed manufacturing process, how it's going to actually be produced, how it's going to move from materials to parts to assemble to final product and packaging and all that. And then you finalize some kind of a distribution system about how you can get it out into the marketplace, get it into your customers' hands. And you operationalize your manufacturing facilities, you actually produce it. And in order to do that, you probably want to test and do some trial manufacturing runs under full production conditions to see how well the production process actually works before you actually go ahead and do full-scale production. So these are all stages that happen in the production stage. Final stage is where you do product support. So here you've got a product, it's out in the marketplace, and now you're doing things that are helping the customers use your product. You're providing technical instructions on how to use the product, how to effectively use it. You want maintenance manuals and warranty services for things that are helping people ensure that they can continue to use your product. You have some spare parts and distribution systems for parts that might be needed during the use of this product. You want to identify also a slightly different stage. Part of this stage is that you want to identify potential new product spin-offs. Maybe you've gotten information from users in the marketplace about modifications to the product or new products that might be derivatives to the product that you already have. And you also want to ensure maximum product value through engineering improvement. And so you want to constantly look for ways that you can improve, go from version 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0 or 3.1, and continue to make improvements in the product. So here again, let's come back to the sequence of stages. These are the engineering stages of new product development. You can see how going from stage 1 to 2 to 3, 4, 5, and 6, it's a sequence that builds from idea to ultimate end product. And there are a whole lot of stages in between where the product gets developed, refined, improved, produced inside the organization. So here we come to basically another look at the stages of new product development. And what we're looking at here is, if we look at the stages, you can see stage 1 and 2 are portrayed in relatively short stages. The conceptual stage is stage 1, the technical feasibility stage 2. But then the development stage, you can see the time frame is considerably longer. And this is what I think represents the amount of time that it takes in that development stage. And stage 4 is the commercial validation and production preparation stage, again a relatively short stage. And the production stage, stage 5, is a little longer. Stage 6 is where the product support goes on, and actually that stage could go on considerably longer because it will go on as long as the product is viable in the marketplace. And so if you look at the two lines, the two curves, one is a solid curve and the other is a dashed line, you can see the engineering activity that happens, the technical support activity that happens is relatively low in the early stages, but peaks in the development stage. And you can see that the marketing and sales and customer interaction stages kind of go from relatively low, but they gradually increase and they become dominant in stages 5 and 6. And so this is a good portrayal of a pretty pro forma new product development process in the manufacturing world. And you can see that a lot of time goes into development, so there's a lot of internal activity that happens inside of an organization that is devoted to actually development of that new innovative product. So in summary, this new product development process is a combination of engineering and business activities that have to be closely integrated in this process. And the 6-stage approach actually incorporates simultaneous steps from both engineering and business activities. And the process involves a significant manufacturing effort for substantive products. And so this description of innovation steps really is a good representation of physical products that are typically manufactured by large-scale organizations.